Hey, today I'm going to show you guys how we made these garage slash shed doors for our new house. So, stay tuned, hit that like, hit that subscribe, and let's get into it. Alright guys, so first time we do this, we're at the shop because we just needed more space, but I'm going to put on the screen, I'm going to put the materials list of what we're going to use. So, I'm going to wing it. I kind of have an idea what I want to do. I saw a picture online, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the frame and then put the sheathing, hold it all together, and then I'll clad the front with the cedar and then trim that out. Hopefully it looks good. We're gonna put some house wrap on the door and some insulation to keep it cool. Alright guys, so here's my measurements from the house. So we're gonna have two 44.5-inch doors by 7 to 7.5 inch height, and those will go on the garage door that's right here. So let's get started. First I'm going to cut the plywood, the OS skill saw. We have a review video on this. If you haven't seen it, hit that link up above, you can check it out. So alright guys, we got the panels cut. Now we're gonna start cutting the framing for the door. Remember the OSB, the side with the markings goes towards the inside, and the side with the lines for the nails goes towards the out. To cut the frame, and we're using four 2x4s by 8 foot long, one for each side, and then we're going to use one for the top and the bottom, and then one we'll use about half of it for the middle section to make the square, or rectangle. Let's go ahead and measure these and get these cut. We got all the pieces cut. We have two 77.5-inch. Hold on, let me verify that. Yeah, two 77.5-inch pieces for each side, and then we have three 44.5-inch for the top, middle, and bottom. So now we're gonna get the plywood decking, and we're gonna frame it all out and put it all together. Alright guys, so keeping it 100 with you guys, these side ones are not gonna be 77.5, because if they are 77.5, once you add the top pieces, it'll be more than 77.5. So I messed up. I'm gonna take them off. I'm gonna redo my math and cut the side ones. Alright guys, got the right measurements now. It's 74.5 because you're taking away 1.5 inch for each stud, the top and the bottom. So two 74.5-inch and three 44. No, that's wrong too, see? Two 44.5-inch, and then the middle one is gonna be a custom measurement. It's probably gonna be 41.5 because you're taking off for both of the sides. So we got the right measurements figured out. Now we're gonna frame it. We are using the DeWalt 20-volt brushless framing nail gun because we're fancy. Alright guys, as I was saying before my camera died, we are using the DeWalt 20-volt brushless, but you can do this with screws, you can do this with nails and a hammer. It's pretty easy stuff. It's not anything complicated. We're just trying to get this done fast. And we have the tools available. let's frame this out and then we'll put the sheathing on it. The panel, we're gonna do the middle one, and we have 41.5 inches here to cut, and then we're gonna put it right in the middle, so it'll be 37.25 inches from the bottom on center, so it'll be right in the middle. Let's go ahead and get this on. Alright guys, we got the frame done and the sheathing done on both of the doors. Now I have some house wrap that you normally put before the siding. We're going to put that as a barrier for water, snow, stuff like that. So I just have a leftover piece from whenever I did my siding on my house, so I'm going to use that, and you staple that. Well, never mind. I thought I had some. Guess I'll pick some up and we'll continue this tomorrow. Picked up some felt paper, got my stapler, and we're back on this Saturday morning. We're gonna put some felt paper on the doors in hopes of adding some weather resistance for the water and the rain and stuff. And then we'll start putting the cedar on top to make it look nice. So let's go. Got the first one covered up. Alright, gonna do that next one, and then we'll start with the cedar. Alright guys, we got both of the doors covered. Now we're going to take the cedar 1x6s and cut each one to length and nail them on there. Alright guys, so we're using cedar 1x6s, and cedar's kind of pricey, but it is the best wood for outdoors. So, and we're using the rough side out. We're going to add a clear stain or a light stain. So we want the rough side out because it'll soak more of it. And we're just going to lay these up here. And we're just going to measure to length and cut each one and nail them in. I cut all the pieces. I took one out and recut another one because the color was a little bit off, and I thought it was going to look weird, but they're ready. I'm going to get the nail gun and I'm going to be nailing them. I'm going to use galvanized nails for exterior, which are corrosion resistant. So alright, so I'm going to use my square to get flat. get flush. Got them nailed on. Now we're going to do the trim. And we're going to do a square all around, one in the middle, and then we're going to do some diagonal ones. I'm using a 1x4 by, I believe it's 12 feet. Yeah, by 12 feet. And from this one, I'm going to get the bottom trim, the top trim, and the inside middle trim. And then for the two sides, I'm just going to rip a 1x8 in half and use that. We have our 1x8, which is right here, but in reality, so the measurements in reality, they have a little bit less. So this one has 7 1/4. So we're going to cut 3 5/8 to cut it right down the middle using, well, actually 3 1/2, because then we have the 5/8 of the blade. So we're just going to cut it 3 1/2 right down the middle. These over here, the trim ones right here, sorry, move my hand. The trim ones are 1x4s and they have 3 1/2. So we're gonna use a table saw. We're gonna cut this right down the middle. We're gonna get both pieces for the side trim. Alright guys, you know that thing where they say it's better to measure twice and cut once? Sometimes you gotta measure 3 times. I just messed up one of my sides. First I cut it too long, then I cut too much off. Maybe I was just looking at the tape measure upside down, but luckily I know myself and I have an extra 1x8, and so I'll just rip that one and we'll finish out this square. From that leftover piece of the 1x4 by 12 feet, we're gonna cut this middle piece. I'm not sure about the diagonal ones yet, but I guess we'll see. I just texted my wife, and I'm gonna say the boss, but we'll see what they say, or she says. We'll see what she says. We got our first door done, minus the stain, but there it is. I'm still debating whether to add the little cross beams. So it really isn't a garage door because we don't really have a garage. It's just where the garage used to be. Now there's just 2 doors that swing open. It has a little storage area for like the lawnmower and stuff like that, but the garage has been turned into a laundry room. So we have about 4 feet of space, and this is just the doors for it. So there we go. I'm gonna do the other one, and I'll check back with you guys once I have this one done. Show you guys what they look like side by side. Alright guys, we're loading up. We're headed to the house to do the framing for the garage doors. We got the doors loaded up. What's up, bro? And we're gonna go get that framing done at the house. We've already gone and measured, and the doors are gonna fit in there nicely. And I got my 2 helpers with me. Hi. This whole opening, they ripped off the carport that was here, and so it's been causing water damage on this side and it's falling apart. So we have to brace this whole ceiling. We have to put a new some braces up so that we can switch all this stuff out here. I'll show you guys. Alright, so we're gonna put a temporary wall next to that one to hold up the stuff, and under there as well, as best as we can, while we switch out those 2x10s, that header right there. It was a bit rainy when we were doing the framing, so I wasn't able to get much video. But here we are after all the framing and the siding has been done, and we are just hanging the doors in the frame. And the doors were kind of heavy, so it did take 2 people to move them around. Oops. Alright guys, we are going to put the trim on the door, the trim on top, and add the latch now. So we're almost done. Alright, so here's what I'm doing. I cut my piece of wood, made sure it was long enough to reach. Alright, so then I'm going over here to the miter saw, and my first cut is a 45-degree cut, and they should both be 45, but so I'll cut 45, then I'm going to walk over here and measure where the 2 points meet, and then I'll draw a line and it should be 45, but I'll show you guys right now. So we're going to make that. And here we're just adding the last piece of trim to close up the little 1/2-inch gap we have between the doors. One thing we will be adding is carriage bolts on the hardware so that you can't take the screws off from the outside, and a couple of slide bolts on the inside so you can lock it from the inside as well. Thank you guys for watching the video. If you like it, subscribe please, and hit that like, and leave me any comments that you have down below. See you guys next week.